love this woman. I love this woman, and I have to tell her. And if she laughs, she laughs.
It makes it easier to bear.
Feel any better if I asked you to the prom?
His name's Blane. He's so beautiful.
Blane? Oh, that's a major appliance. That's not a name.
You won't regret it, no. Some girls, they don't forget it.
Does he have strong lips? Strong lips.
Too weird for me, Maybe this shouldn't happen.
Maybe it doesn't happen all the time, but it doesn't mean it isn't right? This is not the time to get serious over some Nimrod.
He's going to use you and then throw you away.
You're ashamed to be seen with
No,
me.
I am
You're
not.
ashamed to go out with me.
You like him, he likes you. What his friends think shouldn't make any difference.
I just want to let them know that they didn't break me.
Just don't write love songs like they used to.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day. It's our Valentine's Day episode, Pete.
Ooh, happy Valentine's Day.
Early Valentine's.
Oh.
We didn't quite get the actual holiday, but a couple days before.
All right.
But happy Valentine's.
Sounds good. Happy Valentine's Day, and I hope everybody enjoys their tiny white teddy bear with the heart in between its hands that they got from Rite Aid.
In your single red rose.
Yes, indeed. Everybody out there listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott.
And these are the movies that made us gay.
We are venturing into Jon Hughes territory for our Valentine's Day episode.
Yes,
we invited back to the show Amber from our Chasing Amy episode.
Yay.
Hello,
Amber,
guys.
welcome back to the show.
Thank
We
you.
have to add.
A reception of children for you.
Welcome back.
I love it. And don't forget on Valentine's Day your box of random mystery Russell Stover chocolates.
Ah, yes. I love a Russell Stover. I love, What's the yellow, a Whitman sampler?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Seas Candy, if you're regional. West Coast. Love it. Oh, my goodness. Scott, how about this movie? How about these movies? I mean, it's the whole crew.
Oh, yeah.
You can't talk about one without talking about a bunch of them.
So we settled on Pretty in Pink, directed by Howard Deutsch, written by the one and only Jon Hughes.
Yes, indeed.
I knew I wanted to do a Jon Hughes movie, but I wasn't quite sure what to do. Because I feel like if, gun to my head, what's my favorite Jon Hughes movie, I would probably say 16 Candles, even though it's the most problematic. We'll get into it. But I feel like Pretty in Pink has aged the best. Would you both agree?
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like there's nothing hugely problematic in it that you wouldn't see happening today as well.
Yeah. I also think that, like, in my head, I agree, and I feel like, I would just easily just say 16 Candles. It's the funniest. I can, like, recite it word for word. But Pretty in Pink is so, like, just rewatchable.
Yeah.
And it's so relatable, and it's just... Yeah, I think it's a better movie just because it holds up so well as far as, like, rewatchability, and when you're watching it, you just kind of get lost in it. And all these Jon Hughes movies came out in such quick succession.
One after another.
And Molly Ringwald is in almost all of them. And she plays, I feel like she really has a big range.
It's the best showcase of her in all of these Jon Hughes movies.
Oh, 100%.
In my opinion, yeah.
'Cause I feel like she really is the focus of this one in a very positive way. And her character is really actually dealing with real problems, not... My parents forgot my birthday.
Yeah, yeah. And I never feel like, it's just Samantha as a senior, or it's just Claire,
feels like a very
in
different
funny
character.
wardrobe. It's a different character, yeah. And a different wardrobe.
And probably something a little closer to who actually Molly is as a person. I think that she's mentioned that in interviews, that this is the role.
Yeah.
Andy, she kind of most relates to
Yeah.
of all of these movies.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that she's a pretty, like, they're not afraid of showing that she's smart. They're not afraid of showing that she's resourceful and kind of can control things.
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of running her household.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, while still maintaining a really high grade point average at a school that's, like, hard and hates her.
Yeah. The dynamics at the school, crazy. But I feel like the big, like, 3 Molly Ringwald characters, like, Samantha in 16 Candles is a little bit of a brat. You know, I mean, she's a good kid, but she's a little bit of a brat at some points. And Claire is obviously flawed because she's just like the poor little rich girl character. But yeah, Andy, I feel like, is the most, like, well-rounded, and like you said, just like she's got her shit together. She's got the house, she's got her grades, she's got it all in check until Blane comes along.
Fucking Blane.
Damn it, Blane.
Return of movies that made us gay all-star.
Andrew McCarthy. Last
seen on this show when we talked about Mannequin.
Yeah.
And he made Mannequin the year after this movie with James Spader.
What were they thinking?
I know.
The two of them.
I mean, honestly.
What is going on with that choice?
Although this character, at least for Andrew McCarthy, is way less problematic because at least he's in love with an actual human woman.
Human person, yeah.
So, leagues ahead.
Okay, all right. I'll give him that.
James Spader is still the ultimate 80s mega douche.
Yeah.
And I spent the entire film just wanting to punch his face.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, is that a testament to his acting skill? Probably.
Yeah, Spader's really good in this movie. And it's really this viewing that you just sort of zero in on, oh, James Spader's supposed to be 17 years old in this movie. And he looks like he should be like the Wolf of Wall Street or something.
Yeah.
He should be like a day trader.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you get to the scenes with both him and the woman playing Benny, his girlfriend.
Yes.
Like, the two of them fully look like mid-20s, 80s yuppies who are already, like, working their way through their first failed marriage.
Yeah.
They're there.
She looks like a 27-year-old woman. That is Kate Vernon from Battlestar Galactica. From the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. That's where I remember her from.
Who is she on the reboot of Battlestar?
She comes in like season 3. So
okay. I didn't get there yet.
She's Colonel Ty's wife that just inexplicably wakes up out of nowhere and surprise, surprise, Cylon. Sorry, spoiler for a 15-year-old miniseries.
So kind of backing up a little bit, when was the first time we all watched Pretty in Pink?
Who the hell knows?
God, I feel like it's just all of these movies are so intrinsic in my DNA because I started watching them so young.
Yes.
Like, my aunts were all teenagers at around this time, and they would babysit me, and this is what we would watch.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like I don't remember not having an awareness of this movie.
I think I remember first watching this when I was in high school. So I was around the age of the characters in this movie. I was probably about 16 years old when I first watched it. Mm-hmm. And I got a big stack of tapes from my uncle that he was giving away. A lot of them were like video store previously rented tapes. And Pretty in Pink was in there. And that's when I first watched it.
And did you just love it?
I did really like it. Yeah, and I definitely grew up on Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, because those would just have a lot of TV airings.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's when I was about 15 or 16 years old when I first watched this.
Sure. We had all of these recorded off of the television with commercials and fully just looped over, you know, the curse words.
Yeah.
Either sounded like actors or they got them to come in and just loop it all again after
they just
the
had
fact,
a different TV cut that was edited down.
Yeah. And so we had a tape with like 16 Candles, Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, like
and this
Karate
strikes me,
Kid, like
and
all
this
on one
strikes
tape.
me as a movie that your mom would really like too.
Oh yes.
This has Melinda Shirley written all over it.
Required viewing. And my sister, I think especially for us, this one was the one that, like, my sister just really related to the most, you know, out of all the other
I see your sister a lot in Andy.
Yeah, of course.
I totally get that.
Of course.
Well, and I feel like it's a more realistic view of high school than a lot of John Hughes movies because she does go through a lot of bullshit. And, you know.
Yeah.
Like, there were definitely moments where watching it, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm 15 again, and I remember this feeling, and it's horrible.
Yeah, for sure. Shot all throughout L.A.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things that the script is probably written for a suburb of Chicago, and just logistics of shooting, they had to do it in L.A., and I figured out when watching this movie that we walk by Andy's house all the time.
Yeah.
Usually whenever I do a walk in South Pasadena, I probably walk in front of Andy's house, and it's hard to recognize because all of the vegetation and trees have pretty much overgrown the house.
Well, I mean, it's not that it's overgrown, and it's not Miss Havisham's house, but it's just...
But it's hard to recognize.
The landscaping is very different. It's hard to recognize. And also, the, like, really shabby train tracks, because, again, well, not again, we haven't even talked about this, but the whole idea that Andy is a different cast.
She's literally on the other side of the tracks.
She is literally on the wrong side
Quite
of the
literally.
tracks in this... First shots of the movie just show the train tracks.
You know, I feel like the 80s were all about, we're just going to hammer you right in the head with exactly what our metaphor is.
Yes.
We're just going to show you.
And they laid it on really thick. And so this neighborhood looks really kind of run down. There's literally train tracks right outside of her front porch. Now in South Pasadena, we have a light rail system that runs, through LA.
It's the Gold Line.
It's the Gold Line.
Yep.
And it's a lovely light rail system in South Pasadena. There's a nice train stop right there. It looks very different than it did then,
It's a very nice neighborhood, and it's meant to look a little shabby in this movie.
Yes. And it might have been a little bit more run down at the time.
Yep. It's just around the block from the Michael Myers house, too.
It is indeed, from Halloween 1978.
And probably where the Michael Myers house originally was, it was
even closer.
You could probably see the Michael Myers house
from this house,
from the front yard.
Yes, Harry Dean Stanton is her dad.
Yep.
Yes, I always get his name, multiple names. I'm always like, which one is he? Harry Dean Stanton from Alien.
Yes,
is her dad. I like that we don't get hit over the head. We do get hit over the head with the wrong side of the track situation, but we don't really get too much backstory as to where her mother is. Right
she left, right?
What we find out is that she just left. And it's not anything, it's not like, we don't really get that much either. I mean, when we do find out, Andy just kind of tells the dad, like, she just wasn't happy. She just left. Like, we need to, move on. Like, we need to move on. We're not going to get anywhere unless we just, she's gone. She's not coming back. And this is Andy telling the dad.
It adds a great layer for her character that you see how quickly she had to grow up because her dad is still not over it, and she kind of had to get over it really quickly.
At 14.
Yeah, just to cope and make sure that everybody got fed and clothed and, taken care of.
Yes, because at this point, early on in the movie, we kind of see that she's getting him up, out of bed, ready for a job interview because she says he's just working part-time jobs. Nothing really big time. She wants him to go to this job interview, but he's just kind of like, all right, I'll go, I'll get up, whatever. But he's not super jazzed about it. And he doesn't seem to be super, in a bad place or, ashamed of, not having that great of a job. He's kind of okay with just working part-time or whatever. The whole idea of this movie is that Andy, again, she's from the wrong side of the tracks. Her dad doesn't have a great job. Mom's gone, broken home. She wears this outfit, and the dad says, "Let me see this outfit that you're wearing. What do you have? What are you wearing today? How much did this cost?" She's like, "I bought the shoes secondhand. Everything else I made." She makes her own clothes, makes her own outfits, all this stuff. She doesn't have a lot of money. One could argue that she's living in a single-family detached home with a car. Her own car.
It's true. She has
own room.
She has that cool car.
She got a car. She's not sharing a bedroom. She doesn't have 1,000 family members living on top of her. Hey,
they're getting by.
They're getting by.
It's not the worst, home life that you've ever seen depicted on film.
Yes.
It's probably the worst home life we've ever seen depicted in a Jon Hughes film.
Yes.
But, I feel like that's what makes it a nice break for both Molly Ringwald and Jon Hughes as a writer is we're seeing a different character.
Yeah.
We're really delving into a home life that he doesn't usually go into.
Right. Because how many years later do we get the McAllister's mansion?
The McAllister's mansion, Jake Ryan's estate, and also,
Steph.
Sam and 16 Candles, their house is pretty big too.
Their house is pretty substantial. Yes, in 16, you're absolutely right. But yeah, while on the one hand, it's not like she's living in abject poverty. It is a, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
something.
definitely, it's one of those things too where in high school, everybody looks for what makes the other person more other.
Right.
And
Sure.
this is just the thing that's going to make her the most easy target.
I mean, I can tell you, just like wearing anything that is like slightly different than what everybody else is wearing is just like...
Well, I mean, it made me feel like I had a very visceral memory of being in middle school, and I was wearing my aunt's hand-me-downs, and they were very, like, cool club kids in the 80s in Dallas, and I went to a small little Catholic school in Fort Worth, and so I was trying to dress like them, and it did not fly with my classmates.
Yeah.
So I definitely had that feeling of like, oh yeah, that was the worst.
I have no idea what you guys were talking about. I was voted best dressed. No joke.
Well, your school just appreciated flair.
Yeah.
Mine, on the other hand, did not.
Yeah, if you weren't wearing Cole Haan loafers and carrying a Dooney Burke purse, you were just nothing.
Oh my goodness.
And I was the poor kid, so I also did not have any of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, yeah, I definitely got a lot of questions about like, what is that? Why are you wearing that? And I'm just like, because I don't want to look like you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to look like all you guys look the same. It was a Catholic high school that I went to, but it was all boys and we didn't have a dress code, but they still all dressed the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we would have gotten mad if we had a dress code because they all dressed the same anyway. But then I was there looking like a weirdo. Oh, well.
Apparently it builds character. That's
Sure.
what I was told
Sure.
when I came home crying from school every day.
But Andy, okay. How do we describe Andy's aesthetic? Grandma-chic?
Andy looks like she belongs in the Village in New York
Sure.
right around that time, but she is stuck in a school full of people who dress like your mom in 1987.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. What was the aesthetic of the cool rich? So the thing about the cool kids is that it wasn't just that they were cool and popular, it's that they were rich.
Yeah.
So they just dressed, was it preppy?
It was very preppy.
Preppy.
It felt very like Neiman Marcus to me. Like
Sure.
as soon as it popped up,
Nice
like,
cardigans.
Yeah, that's very neutral. Everything was very sandy colors.
Sure. Just like country club-ish, right? I guess is that the idea?
I love those scenes of when you juxtapose all of the cool kids outside and how they're styled with all of the popular kids inside.
Oh, when Andy
I think that's kind of an interesting visual.
outside in the little quad and Blane goes out to meet her and he's just like, what in the hell?
And then you step inside and it's like a United States of Benetton ad.
Well, I mean, the thing about outside was that it was like some crazy like Venice boardwalk.
They're a little overstyled.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it was fully like, like you said, they just walked to Venice Beach and they're like, weirdos.
Everyone.
Get in this van.
Yes.
You have 17 piercings. Come with me.
Yes.
Although
we need your punk rock help.
I'm always a sucker for 80s movies of when they show alternative culture. That's one of my favorite parts about John Hughes' movie Uncle Buck is all of the daughter's cool friends.
Yeah.
I don't really know if kids ever dress like this, but they did in the movies though.
Yeah. I mean, the weirdo kids that were outside in the little, and also the way that was shot, it looked like a prison yard.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
The way all the like students were dressed in that prison yard, it's like, I don't know that teenagers dress like that, but I think like cool young people dress like that in LA.
Yeah.
At the time.
On their way to a punk club.
Yeah. Yes.
Very specific.
Shot at America's High School, John Marshall in
Yes,
Los Angeles.
Los Feliz.
That you see in every single movie of this time.
It's the school from A Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's usually shot at John Marshall.
Yeah. Not other John Hughes movies, though.
Okay,
so don't
sure.
get that twisted. But it's not the school from 16 Candles.
I think they used a different school in Las Vegas for their interiors, too.
Right. But speaking of like going to a punk show in LA in the 80s, there are a couple of scenes at this club that somehow Andy and her friends get into.
Yeah. Which these are sort of kids that their parental figures aren't always absent. So I do kind of buy them just going to this bar. It was the 80s, so they could just go to these shows.
They established, too, that they know the bouncer.
They know the Dice Man.
Andrew Dice Clay.
So I feel like Annie Potts' character got them in
the first time.
time,
yeah.
and then they just became kind of regulars.
Yeah.
And, you know, you never see them really, like, carousing or drinking a lot, like, over drinking. They're just there.
And when Blane takes her later on in the movie and he asks what she wants, she asks for a Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's like, "Give me a,
Who is that cute guy that
Dweezil Zappa?
Yeah, shouldn't she be all about him? I would be.
Simon. When the first scene at the club, she's sitting with her amazing friend who just
love her,
talks all the shit to the mean girls to their faces.
That's pretty much Pete here.
I love that she just mouths like, "Eat shit." Like,
oh, I have that clip. We'll play it later.
Oh, we love her. She's there at the club with her friend, and there's a boy sitting with them at the table, and that boy, his name is Simon in the movie. They ask him a question. I forgot what she asks him, but he's played by Dweezil Zappa. He is Frank Zappa's son.
Sure,
he's in a lot of stuff. He was mostly a musician, but he's like so good looking that he was like he acted in a lot of stuff.
We'll just throw him in this movie. Look at this pretty man.
Yes, him and his brother and sister were in a lot of. His brother Ahmet and his sister Moon Unit Alpha and Moon Unit Zappa. Yeah, he was very cute. But I mean, we kind of glossed over it. We got to talk about Iona.
Sure. Okay, so we'll talk about
Goddess
Iona first, and then we'll get into Duckie.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even talked about Duckie.
Should we start with Duckie?
Louise. Yeah,
okay, we'll start with Duckie.
We got to talk about
and
Duckie
this was
first.
kind of the other reason why I think it's important to do Pretty in Pink, at least on our show, because you really didn't see gay or queer characters in any 80s teen movies. It just really wasn't the thing. And if John Hughes were to write them, it would be a very specific way, but I don't think that there's ever an out gay character in a John Hughes movie.
And here's my thing. I don't think John Hughes, were he alive to read Molly Ringwald say, well, I think Duckie would have come out as gay later on in his life.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he wouldn't be on board with that. I don't know why. I just
Probably not.
Probably not. I feel like that just didn't enter into his worldview at all.
Mm-hmm.
But everything about that character screams. I mean, as a hag of long standing, I have dated 7 of that guy. and usually I'm the one where they're like, after dating you, I've decided I am 100% a homosexual. Thank you for letting me know.
And I can definitely relate to being like Duckie in high school and being friends with a lot of girls.
Yeah.
And sort of mistaking thinking that you have a crush on someone with just wanting to be their friend and just thinking that they're awesome.
Right. I feel like he was totally just captured by her aesthetic and being the one other person who could appreciate his aesthetic.
Yeah.
So it's very much that classic gay guy, straight girl relationship.
Yes.
And, you know, like, yeah, probably he wouldn't have come out in high school in reality
Not
back
in the
then.
80s, yeah.
But at some point down the stretch of his life, he would have definitely come out as either gay or I'd buy bi.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, the scene where he is sitting in his spray-painted room listening to the Smiths. Hi, honey.
Pretty queer.
Yeah.
You are of the Rainbow Coalition.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the jewelry, the hats, the coats, the creepers.
The lip syncing for your life.
The feathered pompadour, the lip syncing.
Yeah, all of it. All of it is just something that you do that you think you're supposed to do to show how much you are like in love with the girl, but it's just to show how you just got to dance.
Yeah. Or you're trying so hard to show you're in love with a girl because you don't kind of want to admit that I also have a crush on Blane, and maybe that's why I'm so mad about you going out with him.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
100%.
Yeah. His wardrobe is crazy.
It fully is, but I feel like he matches Andy at
least. Oh, yeah.
So
for sure.
You can see why they're friends.
Yeah. They're both going thrifting with each other. He's telling her what looks fabulous on her. She's helping to style him.
I like though when the dad's like, "Oh, where'd you get this outfit or whatever?" And she says, "The shoes I bought, everything else I made." And I'm like, "You made that applique vest?"
Yeah.
You needed that cardigan.
What? I'm assuming she's just like repurposing things.
Yeah. I mean, as we see later on, she likes to take existing pieces and then sometimes do bad things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. The dress.
Oh, we'll get to that.
We'll get there, but I have thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, oh, my goodness.
I really love the moment, and we have the clip of it, is when they're driving around. And I feel like this is something that we all do when we're in the really nice, rich neighborhoods. I mean, we're neighboring to San Marino. So I go on my walks all the time looking at mansions and just thinking, man, I want to live there.
Mansions.
These houses are amazing, Doug.
Hey, first $1 million I make, I buy you one. I hate this song.
They're so beautiful.
Hey, you want beauty? Look in the mirror. This whole tape is horrible. I must be going through like a hormone thing, because every song I listen to is making me sick. I mean, why can't I find a decent song here?
That was my favorite.
Are you deaf?
The house.
Oh yeah, that's a nice little crib.
I wonder what it's like inside.
Well, what difference does it make?
You know what the really sad thing is, though? I bet the people that live there don't think it's half as pretty as I do. You know what I mean?
No, Annie, I'm just don't write love songs like they used to. I'm angry about this now, and my evening's shot. Just drive me home now.
That was one of my mom's favorite lines from this movie when she said, "I bet the people that live there don't think it's half as pretty as I do."
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And these two are almost like an old married couple because they're not even listening to each other, and they're just sort of having their own conversation with themselves, thinking that the other person is listening.
Yeah. I fully think, though, that Duckie is very frustrated because he's spitting out gems and thinks he is just wit, and she is talking about this stupid house, which, again, most 16, I drive around and look at houses now. If you at 16 had caught me and been like, let's go look at houses, I'd be like, let's do literally anything else.
Yeah, true.
I feel like that was something that we did early in the pandemic, Pete, is that we would go for evening drives and go look at houses.
Yeah.
Would one of you pull up Zillow and be like, oh,
of course.
let us laugh cry at how much that house is?
Yeah.
Because we live in Southern California.
Let's check the Zestimate. What would be the monthly mortgage rate? Ugh. Oh, my goodness. So that's our friend Duckie. But we do have to talk about Iona. Icon Iona.
Goddess.
Bless her heart. I love how she's introduced stapling records on the ceiling.
Yeah. And she's just like, genius. I'm a genius.
I love a bitch who knows her own worth.
Yeah.
And she is. She's just, I'm awesome. Look at what I've done. It is great.
Look at my merchandising.
Look at my awesome hair that looks like a dandelion floof.
Oh, my goodness.
And I am pulling it off.
You know what's crazy is that this is the same year as she did Designing Women. So this came out in February, and Designing Women was probably fall of '86. That's wild.
That is insane.
Yeah. I mean, she has
That's
a
range.
gift.
Yeah. 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 She had just done Ghostbusters, a year before this or a year or two before this. Talk about range. I love Iona because her styling, while it's out there, it does make a lot of sense to me because there's certain looks. There's especially a look where it's kind of like a 40s look that she's doing where she's got like the knitted hairnet situation. And I'm just like, that's how ex-punks who were punks when they were kids dress when they're in their 30. You know what I mean? As they age out of it, they transition into like these different looks, and they're never just going to look like your average person. They're still going to have an edge to them, but it's going to be a different kind of theme. And like, I think it just worked really well with Iona and how.
Well, and every time she showed up on screen, she looked so different, but it all felt organic and really like worked for her character. And again, she is just like, she is laying down the best advice. Like she is that boss you dream of. love.
I kind of want to wish that she owns Trax, the record store, but I don't think so.
I don't think that she owns it, but she pretty much, I mean, she might as well own it.
She runs it.
She runs it.
Yeah.
I think it's like an Empire Records situation, like with Joe.
Because she mentions later on she doesn't want to work in retail for the rest of her life. And so it's like, well, I don't know if you would say that if you kind of like own the shop, right?
But I mean, she does come out with, I think, what is my favorite line in the movie, where she says, "Don't waste good lip gloss." When she's encouraging Andy to go out, when she thinks she's been stood up. And I'm like, that is solid life advice.
You got yourself dressed up. You look good.
Go out and
the
find
duck
somebody.
man's here.
There is always another dick.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. Honey.
It's like my grandma used to say, men are like buses, another one's going to come along. She did used to say that, by the way. She had the whole little quote, whatever it is. What is it? Another one comes along every 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Something like that. She knows.
I mean, truth.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen where the record store Trax was filmed at in LA?
No.
It's at the Promenade.
It's at Santa Monica Promenade.
It's one of those big. Have you ever been to the Promenade?
Yeah.
It's one of those big corner stores that probably
It's a
like
restaurant now.
a fancy restaurant's there now. Yeah,
Of course.
and it's crazy to look at what the Promenade looked like in '86.
Yeah. A little rundown.
Definitely not how it looks like now.
No. I mean, watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You can see more of the Promenade there. Yeah, that's another just character note of Andy is that she has to work. She has a job.
I mean, a pretty cool job.
It is a cool job.
Yeah.
That's like
could be worse.
that's like goals right there. Is working in a record shop.
Yeah. That's the dream high school job too.
Yeah, for sure. And but this is where she kind of has her first meeting with Blane. And again, you know, Scott, small town, me, Catholic high school. We didn't go to the high school where the yearbook was like an encyclopedia, like 3 volumes, where it was like, don't I have blah, blah, blah class with you? It's like, no, I know every single person in my school.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to Catholic school for 13 years, and it was mostly the
same people
for all 13 years.
Same.
So going to college, it was like, ugh, finally, new faces.
Yeah. But I would always see that in movies where it was just be like, don't I sit behind you? And it's like, yeah, you sit behind. We have the same class. Like, come on.
Although, fun anecdote in my life. So I went to school with this guy named John for 13 years of my life. I come back from college, and admittedly, I looked a little different, but not so different. And I was out to dinner with my parents. And he came over to talk to my parents and then introduced himself to me. I was like,
Do you know who I am, asshole?
dude, you know these people because
Through me.
you know me. And he was like, oh, I didn't recognize you. And I was like,
Oh, my God.
bitch, 13 years of school.
That's amazing. But, I mean, granted, suffice it to say, there are schools this big.
I bet LA public schools are pretty massive.
Yeah.
So,
And, Blane comes into the record store to meet Andy. He's kind of like, I don't know, he's got his eye on her. Like,
A little bit.
yeah.
I think he's trying to flirt.
Okay. Andrew McCarthy. Cute.
very cute.
Cute. Kind of wimpy in this movie. I don't know.
It's kind of nothing. Like,
That's just kind of the character, though.
He is so vanilla.
Yeah.
It's just, Andy, why? Like, you are better than this.
Yeah. And, like, on the one hand, it's like, okay, he's a little vanilla. He doesn't really have a lot, like, personality-wise. But then later on, when they do go out on the date, and she's just like, I'm not comfortable here. I don't want to hang out here. He's like, no, we're going to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does not feel like a good date at all.
It's like you two can't find like a middle ground.
Just go to Denny's. I mean, come on, you're teenagers.
I mean, like, there has to be a restaurant in this town that's
open.
high school friendly.
Yeah.
Just go.
I mean, yeah, when you're a kid, any kind of like Denny's, Caro's kind of situation,
Right.
they're open all night. They're not going to kick you out.
And I mean, I feel like my high school dates never involved, like, let's go to this crazy party. It was, let's go to the movie, let's go to the mall, let's go, to Bennigan's and have, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was that kind of thing.
In case anyone was wondering how old I am.
Oh, man, I miss Bennigan's. They had a really good Monte Cristo sandwich. Oh, my goodness. It was huge. This party. Okay, well, are we jumping ahead? We got a lot to cover, so maybe it's okay if we jump ahead.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like the only thing in the beginning of the movie that you really need to cover are those hideous gym outfits.
Oh, we got to talk about the gym scene.
What is going on with these? Are they jumpsuits?
Was that a thing in the 80s? Was that just like a... I don't know.
I feel like I was wearing shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
They are wearing what looks like a car mechanic's jumpsuit.
It's like a romper that are shorts.
It's coveralls that's shorts, yeah.
Yeah. With fully a collar. There is a collar and a pocket in which Andy has put a pocket square.
And she's wearing colored floral tights.
Are you running the mile in that? Andy.
No, Andy and the friend are just sitting in the corner just smoking.
Yeah.
Well, the friend is smoking. Andy's not. But
is this the scene where we get Jenna's famous line that I love?
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, Benny. Fox. Penfield. Shrivel up and fall off, okay? What was that, Miss Holman?
I said I hope they shrivel up and fall off.
You hope what shrivels up and falls off?
Her breasts, misdeeds.
Shut up. You are out of here, Holman. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I love that line. I think that's my favorite line of the whole movie.
It's a good one.
I mean, I feel like the whole beginning part of the movie does a really good job of establishing like who Andy is, who her friends are, who her people are, how terribly she's treated, but also how she can just walk into the principal's office and be like, "Listen, I'm not going to detention, and neither is my friend, and you're going to be okay with it."
Yeah.
Because I'm the smartest one here.
Yeah. That's so funny. I mean, yeah, he just kind of was like, all right, yeah, you're right.
I mean, power move, Andy.
Definitely. Gym uniforms were just dolphin shorts and a t-shirt.
Also,
with your name Sharpied on
Gina Gershon.
Yeah. How about that?
Just in a one sentence speaking role.
Her character doesn't even have a name.
Mm-hmm.
She's like girl 2.
I definitely recognize that Gina Gershon face.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This actress died.
The girl that says, "I hope they shrivel up and fall off."
She died in 1985, age 23.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I think it was a drug overdose. Yep.
Ugh. The head mean girl, her name is Benny.
Yeah. Everybody has weird
names.
Do you think that
Steph and Benny and Blane?
I think it was like Benjamina.
Who knows? Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't even know. She's like the head horrible girl to Andy. Just like talks a lot of shit. What did she say? Like, where'd you get that outfit? The 5 and dime.
Yeah. And they're trying to be clever, and you're just looking at it like you're dumb, and your life is going to be terrible. Like, enjoy your glory now because it ends in 6 months.
Yeah. When you look 27 when you're 17, it's not a great sign about how you're going to look when you're actually 27.
Well, 45.
Yeah. So Blane kind of like does his best to kind of track down Andy. He sees her at the record store. He does this weird, like, crazy computer situation, which was impossible in 1985.
Mm-hmm. This row of computers.
This school, man.
I would think that a public school would probably have 2, maybe 3 computers in the public library or like in the school library.
I feel like they're leaning on this idea that it is a very rich kid school.
And
even if you live in the district, it's probably one of those rich kid public schools where they're like, you may live in this district, but we're going to do everything we can to like draw a circle around your house and say, no, you can't come to this school.
Yes. Because Andy does kind of talk about that kind of thing when she's talking to the principal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how she shames him into like getting out of detention. She says something about like allowing me to like get my education here. So,
do you think it's like a Andrea Zuckerman type of situation?
I don't know. Using her grandmother's address to go to West Beverly like a cheat.
Scandal.
So she has him pick her up at Tracks because her house is.
She first thinks that
hovel.
she's stud up. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't he late?
He's hella late, right?
And also, like, that alone, I feel like Andy is too good for that kind of nonsense. And I had to keep reminding myself, because there were times where I'm watching what's happening. I'm like, why aren't these two just having a conversation? And I'm like, oh yeah, they only look like they're 40. Their characters are 16 and don't have the emotional language to have these conversations. They just look old enough to be having these conversations.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, he's driving a BMW, like he's dressing like, Don Johnson, like but really they're supposed to be teenagers, which we forget.
But yeah, 45 minutes late to the first date. I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere else eating an aggressive amount of chocolate.
Does he even explain?
No.
I don't even think we get an explanation. I think he just says sorry. Like, oh my God.
Men.
Can't you call the record store ahead? I know that cell phones don't exist, but you can call a landline.
Yeah, you can figure it out. Ugh. So he takes her to this party that she does not want to go to because it is at James Spader's house. Mm-hmm.
And James Spader has spent this whole movie wildly, inappropriately flirting with her in the most crass way.
Like harassment, like borderline.
Walking around this party like he's fucking like at the Playboy Mansion.
Well, to be fair, there are two people half naked, like in
just
the living room.
Just dancing in the living room. Yeah.
So it might as well be the grotto.
Yeah. I think
that scene where they're sitting down on the bedroom couch. And it's like, clearly they've just had sex.
Yeah.
And also, can we discuss the bedroom couch?
What?
Yeah.
Why?
That's the other thing. Granted, this is Steph's house. Your parents are gone. They're out of town, whatever. You're going to take your girlfriend to do it with her in your parents' bed? I know it's bigger, but come on.
Right? Like,
I don't know.
Like, maybe it's just me and my, like, Catholic upbringing where in my parents' house would be hard enough.
Yeah.
In their bed, it's just like, this is the least sexy I've ever felt. Thank you.
Yeah. Steph probably, I don't think he's rocking a twin bed. He probably has like a full at least. Probably
his bedroom is probably nicer than the parents.
Yeah, he's probably got himself a nice setup.
Oh, fully.
He can just have her in there. Is he like Regina George, where that actually is his room?
Possibly.
He has the master bedroom.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so maybe we're just talking out of our asses. But Benny,
yeah, he is the worst.
He's the worst.
We haven't established that. He is the worst.
And Benny is worse than we thought. Because first she was just talking shit in class, just kind of like out loud. But now at the party, she's just like, fuck you. Why are you here? Leave. To Andy's face.
Gross.
Yeah, it's so gross.
Yeah, it's interesting that you think that maybe the script would go in a direction that maybe the mean girls would start to be nice to her and then just stab her in the back afterwards. But
sure.
Not here.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting too is, I don't know, I feel like if I were Andy, and there are some similarities, like, she's kind of mean to Duckie through the entire movie.
Yeah, she is.
And it's like, hey, he's still one of your two friends.
Yeah.
You've known him since you were a child.
Dial down the asshole.
Yeah.
And, definitely call him out for like, hey, we are not going to date. Like, let's calm that energy down. But she's just outright mean to him.
I mean, I think that, we'll talk about the ending when we get there and what the original ending was. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't think that ending where she ends up with Duckie would work. Because that's not how Molly is playing the character.
Not at all. I mean, I feel like the better ending would be Andy ending up alone.
Yeah.
Which I realize is not allowed in a romantic comedy, but still, like, I don't know. If I were rewriting this script for today, it wouldn't need a ton of rewriting, but I feel like that's where I'd end it, is Andy looking around and going, no.
I'm out.
I have a fantastic scholarship to study fashion in New York City.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. If I leave now, I can still catch the end of Cheers.
Right. Like, I don't need to waste my time on you tiny boys.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, no, her interactions with Duckie sometimes are a little hard.
And I hope that it's just not one of those friendships where she never calls him. He's always the one that reaches out to her. That's what I kind of get.
I kind of get that too. And
Yeah.
like, this time I felt, I don't know, I go back and forth. Like, I felt really bad for Duckie, and then there were scenes where I'm like, Duckie. no.
I think I said to Pete
Don't
that...
pull the fire alarm.
Yeah.
Again.
Bad.
I think I said to Pete that Jon Cryer in this movie has zero chill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Zero
No.
chill.
Just like dial it down a little bit, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he operates at 100 all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's even in the, like, trivia that he kind of didn't really get along with Molly Ringwald and Andrew McCarthy because they're both a little bit more subdued personality-wise, and he's just kind of a little bit more Duckie-like in person, so...
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, personally, the idea of working on a movie where my entire cast is comprised of teenagers sounds like one of the circles of hell. It's just like, I can't... None of this sounds good.
So what do you think of this whole business where Molly Ringwald says that she really wanted Robert Downey Jr. for Duckie?
I feel like that would have been a completely
I think
different
they read
energy.
together, and that's what she says, is that, like, if it was Robert Downey Jr., sure, like, the Duckie ending would have made sense.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't put Jon Cryer up against 80s heartthrob Andrew McCarthy playing like suave rich guy, and especially when he's just, again, attacking with this energy nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to be Duckie's friend and kind of pull him aside and be like, buddy,
let's turn it down.
I know.
Iona should have had a little sit down with him.
Yeah.
I love that scene with Iona when they get her at the club, and you can tell that she hasn't been there in a while, and she's just like, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
When she's there.
I told him he was my kid. What do you think about Anthony Michael Hall?
No.
Because he says he turned it down because it was right after 16 Candles.
Sure.
So he was like, we already did this.
And right
That is a
after
good choice.
after Breakfast Club.
Because again, like Anthony Michael Hall didn't look the same age as anybody else.
Right.
Like he didn't come into
younger.
his face, his age until much later. He
Until
always
Edward
looked like a
Scissorhands.
kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like trying to make a love triangle with those three would have been even harder.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Michael Hall and Molly Ringwald actually went out.
I think so.
Like in real life too. But yeah, so he turned it down. He says, we already did this. It would be kind of, redundant or whatever for me to do it again. So he drops out. RDJ reads, Molly Ringwald is like, that one, please.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they didn't. They used him in Weird Science, where he is totally a dreamboat in that movie.
Yeah.
What year was Weird Science?
It's credited as 85.
They literally just shot
Yeah.
these right on
Shot
top
them
of
all
each
back
other.
to back.
Anthony Michael Hall in Weird Science had a growth spurt. He's tall, at least.
Yeah.
He still looks baby face.
What about the other one? Could he work as Duckie from Weird Science?
The kid from Weird Science? No, Elon Michael Hall? No.
Yeah.
Or not Elon Michael. Elon Wyatt
He
Smith.
would have been too little.
He was very young. I think he was like actually 15 when they started shooting Weird Science.
He's one of those people like Jake Ryan that I regularly do Google searches for.
Like, where's
just to
Wyatt
see
from Weird Science
Where
today?
is both of these actors and what do they look like now? And Jake Ryan is very hard to find current pictures of.
Sure.
Is he selling real estate somewhere?
Oh my gosh.
I think that he makes furniture or something.
All right, that feels...
You know who else is like almost impossible to find? Bastion from The Neverending Story. Where did he go?
Mm-hmm.
Can't find him. Look him up.
Well, Atreyu is like a...
He's like a tattoo artist.
He's like a tattoo artist, and
like a
I've seen him on
musician,
Instagram. Yeah.
He lives out in like Sun Valley or something.
Mm-hmm.
Still showing up for that con money.
Oh yeah, that's where the money's at, man.
I mean,
right?
I go to the fucking Atreyu table.
I would sit there and
100%.
sign my 8x10s. Yeah, I'd go to the Atreyu table if he was there. But I mean, I guess we get Jon Cryer, and he's good in this.
Yeah, I think he's doing good work here.
Yeah, I mean, he's making a choice. He's playing Duckie in a very specific way that is completely different from how RDJ would have played it.
Yeah.
But it just... I don't see them ending up together, and I never rooted for that.
No,
I never rooted for them to end up
Same.
together.
Yeah.
Because as I grew up watching it, it was like, this is not a romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the vocabulary for because that is a gay man.
Yes.
Exactly.
I feel like I kind of rooted for Andy and Blane, but just because they were the leads, and that's just like kind of how, as a movie watcher, you're just kind of programmed to be like, these are the two that you want to get together. So
right.
That's kind of how my brain
and
put
Andy McCarthy is very cute.
Yeah. But now, I mean, fully now, I'm just like, oh, no, not him.
Yeah.
Well, and it has that rom-com problem, and I'm lose my girl card all the time when I say this, but like I do not like rom-coms, and a lot of it is because you watch this relationship and you're like, do you two even like each other?
Do you even like to be around each other?
Because watching all of the Jon Hughes rom-coms, I'm like, do you two, you don't even know her last name. Like, how is this, we're in love?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you are horny, and that is fine, but let's calm down.
Yeah, agreed. But he does ask her to the prom.
Oh, the prom.
Because that's kind of like... I think the prom in this movie is just kind of set up as this goal for Andy. She doesn't really think she's going to go. She keeps talking to Iona about it. Did you go? Like, how was it? And Iona gives her this weird speech about the one friend who never went, and then just has this 100-yard stare every now and then.
It's because she regrets not going to the prom.
She regrets not going to the prom.
And you have to say it in that Annie Pop's delivery because she didn't go to the prom. I have a little bit of that scene too.
Oh, that one?
It's not that exact scene, but it's it's that interaction when she goes over
to her apartment in Chinatown.
Apartment in fucking Chinatown. Oh, because of course Iona is that fucking cool that she lives in a apartment in Chinatown.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, it's fine to have her apartment in Chinatown because it's not like, it doesn't look like the inside of a Chinese restaurant in her apartment, but her doorbell is a gong.
I mean, honestly, least offensive use of a gong sound in all of the movies we watched.
This is true. This is true.
Especially 16 Candles.
We've heard gong sounds in other genres.
It didn't make me cringe.
Right. It was just kind of cute. It's just like, oh, funny.
I mean, I'm old enough to be his mother, but when the duck laid that kiss on me last night, I swear to God, my thighs just went up in flames. He must practice on melons or something. Is this your prom dress? Believe it or not.
Oh, it's great.
Silly.
It's a great material. You know, I'm going to prom.
Stop it!
Oh, I am. Last night he asked me. I don't know, I said yes. Sounds really weird. Might be kind of fun.
You were here for 15 minutes and you didn't even tell me.
Oh, but I really, really wanted to go.
Then proceeds to
commit a crime against that dress.
But I was going to say
a crime against
Iona fully changes into her hairspray Miss Baltimore
Crabs.
Miss Baltimore Crabs outfit, whole new face. She takes all of that makeup and reapplies her makeup.
Yeah, beehive wig, everything.
I love that scene.
I do too. That dress is adorable.
It's cute. Annie Potts, that crazy tiny Annie Potts little body,
so tiny. And then again, she gives it to Andy, who commits a crime
to just
against
ruin it.
Okay,
just ruins it.
We can talk about the prom dress. Okay, so how are we going to break this down? If she was on the first episode of RuPaul's Drag Race or Project Runway, is she probably lip syncing with that dress?
100%. Because, first of all, Molly Ringwald is a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And that dress
doesn't have a lot of shape to it.
Yeah.
The only
it's more of a
part
rhombus.
She's showing is a weird cutout cold shoulder.
It's a pink rectangle.
Yeah. It's a rhombus because it's skinnier at the top. I don't.
It's just
Well, and let me say this about this whole pretty in pink situation. Molly Ringwald is a true redhead. Mm-hmm. She's got red hair. She's got brown eyes, and redheads don't typically look that great in pink.
Yeah.
And I mean, the color wasn't awful on her.
No.
Although that shiny, cheap-ass lace on the dress her dad brings home that she Frankensteins into the horror dress.
Yeah.
was not a good pink.
No.
I feel like if you just wore Iona's dress, as
she should have
is,
yeah.
just wear that
a vintage dress.
It
a
is
60s
timeless.
Vintage, yeah,
I would wear that dress tomorrow.
Yeah, cute.
It was adorable. Like, jazz it up with some fun accessories, like add a belt, whatever. Don't chop it to hell and add tacky ass lace to the top and a full collar. Ew.
Yeah.
She just wanted something a little classy.
She kind of turned it into like a weird halter situation, but then there were like the shoulder cutouts, the weird shapelessness at the waist.
Like, there was just literally nothing.
And then I feel like once she goes to the prom, she doesn't accessorize it at all. Like, she's not wearing earrings.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not wearing a lot of makeup, but that's just kind of the character of Andy, is that she just doesn't wear a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess
prom.
that you could belt it,
It's the prom.
but I guess that's the point of the rectangle dress, is that you don't belt it.
Yeah, the shape
it's
is
making that type of a statement. I don't know. It's pretty bizarre.
It is... it is a crime against fabric. It's like,
great.
it is... Every time I watch it, even watching it as a kid in the late 80s, I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah, we were all just like, my sister and I were just like, what is this?
What did she do to that
What
dress?
did she do?
And I feel like, I don't know, like, thank God they didn't give her a real, like, Cinderella moment at the prom, because I would have been like, no, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the 80s, this is like the height of like, you can go, I mean, there are stores in the mall that just had formal wear for girls.
Oh,
Yeah. Not Charlotte Roos. What was the Jessica McClintock?
Yeah. Cachet.
Cachet, yeah.
That is where I got my prom dress in the late 90s.
The Jessica McClintock in the Glendale Galleria was like a corner, and like it was huge. Oh my goodness. Yeah, formal wear for gals was just a very specific thing. And that's another thing where just because of like fashion and style, and also just like the social norms of your school, pretty much all the dresses look kind of like a version of the same.
Yeah, you just walk in and you're like, here's the rack of the same dress in different colors. Yeah. I'm wearing green, you're wearing blue.
Yeah.
And then Andy was like, I'm going to wear a box.
Yeah. I mean, at this time for prom dresses, it was like poofy sleeves, big skirt, just like kind of a plain
They
front.
don't even really show a lot of what everybody else is wearing.
Yeah.
What you do see is that a white tuxedo jacket was the way to go.
Just looking like valet hops. They're about to park some cars.
But I feel like even if she had like a typical 80s dress that she like found at a thrift store from last year's prom, and she just like did something interesting and like cut off the sleeves or whatever. But girl, like a waist is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Don't hide it.
I think you're right. I think going full vintage, just doing a vintage look, would have made the same statement.
It would have been a little more
and
successful.
she would have looked way cuter.
Yeah. Again, like all she had to do was take Alona's dress and be like, yes, this.
Like if I went to prom and like when I went in the 90s and just saw a girl wearing like a 60s dress, I would have been like, oh my God, that's
super
cool.
cute.
That's fucking really cool. But yeah.
And I'd probably have less shame looking back on a vintage dress in whatever decade than looking back and going, did you guys really let me wear a pink lacy box to prom? Screw you, Duckie.
Yeah, she is bottom two.
Bad gay.
Although, I'm not really one to talk shit on ugly prom, because I was a fashion victim of like the zoot suit when I was a senior in high school. Those pictures will never see the light of day. A full like hat. PSA for this episode: never wear a zoot suit hat to prom. So, I mean, like, who am I to talk shit about this dress?
Oh no, my senior prom dress was amazing. I looked like Cinderella. I was living my fucking princess fantasy. I had an updo. I had gloves. I stand by that decision.
I looked cute my junior year.
Yeah.
Because I just did a basic black tux.
Sure.
But that said, I hardly remember our senior prom. Like, I feel like that memory just wastes away with every passing month.
Yeah. No, true. Yeah, it just falls out just like an old phone number.
It is never the greatest night of your high school experience. That is a lie.
Oh, yeah.
No, I had way more fun like bowling afterwards than
Right?
at the actual prom, because we went bowling in our prom dresses, and that was way more fun than
Our after party at the prom. Our after party for the prom was at a bowling alley.
Yeah.
We didn't do the grad night, but they had one that was related to the prom.
Okay.
Yeah, this was just my theater dork friends and I being like, we're bored with this because everybody else stayed at like the country club and got hotel rooms and did the typical like, let's party at a hotel. And we were like, let's go bowling.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
because we were all going to prom with gay men. Like,
sure,
we were the theater group. Like, there was not a straight man to be had, so none of us were getting laid.
Sure.
We're like, let's go bowling.
That's funny. So Andy's like makes this huge deal about the prom the entire movie, and when she does get there, she bones the hell out pretty quick.
I do like the interaction with her dad, and you get that line because I think that line where she says, "I just wanted to," like. What does she actually say? It's
I want to let them know they didn't break me.
I love that line.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like, great that she went after she got stood up because Blane is a weak dick. Like, small dick energy there, Blane.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, and again, that's why a more powerful statement is if she ends the movie being like, I'm good,
Look
guys.
how awesome I look.
Here,
Do we even really get that great of a, like, why does he do it?
I was going to say, like, why does he
not like
initially
a moment.
break up with her?
I mean, it's because he kind of tells Steph off at one point beforehand, but then
he just kind of flakes out.
He just kind of flakes.
Yeah, it'd make more sense if we saw a deleted scene with, like, a parent disapproving of
I think
Blane.
there has to be something missing from the edit that didn't make it in.
It's a little weird.
Because, like, we never see Blane. We never see anybody's parents but Andy.
No,
it has to be some interaction with James Spader of something that he tells her or hangs over his head. But, it's left a little unresolved.
Yeah.
And, again, that's one of those things, too, of, like, I get that you're 16 and that's why you did it, and it's a romantic comedy and that's why you did it, but I'm sorry if somebody broke up with me because they didn't have the balls to be like, it's fine that I'm dating a poor girl.
Yeah.
No, like, you don't just get to come back from that.
And lies about it.
Yeah.
Saying that I asked somebody else and forgot about it.
Girl.
Oh my God. And then when she goes to prom and Duckie's like, well, he came and he came alone. But she's not like, but he told me that he...
She's like, oh.
So that was a lie. Let's go home together.
Right? Like, oh, good. He also lied to me after making me feel like garbage. Yeah. Let's go make out.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know.
So I feel like sort of the original ending, I don't know if I've never seen the actual cut of the original ending.
I don't think there's footage of it.
I think that it is like a my best friend's wedding situation of... well, I'm just going to end up with my friend. I think that's the idea. I don't think that they were necessarily like, oh, we're really in love at the end with her and Duckie. I think it's just she's just okay with being his friend.
I don't know. I think they were supposed to just like kiss and fall in love.
Yeah, because I don't think you have another option in the 80s in a rom-com. Like, I feel like My Best Friend's Wedding, you're allowed to do it because he's
gay.
Because he's gay.
Blatantly gay.
Yeah.
I think that I read something with Molly Ringwald doing an interview where she talked about that, where she said the relationship with Blane is never going to work out, but she's going to be friends with Duckie forever.
Yeah.
True.
I like that.
And again, like, I envision Andy going to New York, studying fashion, and one day Duckie just appears at, like, her apartment, and they share, like, a really crappy, you know, studio in Astor Place.
And then he takes her to, like, the tunnel.
Yeah, 100%. He shows up, I've had a revelation.
Then they go out and like, tip some go-go boys.
But in this movie, he randomly sees Christy Swanson.
The soon-to-be deleted out of the movie Christy Swanson, if you've been following her Twitter.
I have, and honest to God, if she disappeared, who the fuck cares?
And just replace her with an adult Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah,
because that's who they're gonna. Because that's what they want to replace.
Fine with that.
Home Alone 2. So, but okay, I have a false memory of Christy Swanson being kind of like quirky or like more of a fit for Duckie. I have this false memory of her looking like
she's really not.
Of her looking like Violet Bickerstaff or something, but she just looks like Christy Swanson.
Yeah.
Why do I have this memory of her being like oh, I'm a nerd girl and you're Duckie and I've got like weird
pigtails.
Pigtails and like a wacky dress.
Your brain is trying to do a better job than the costume department did.
Apparently, that's how. Yeah, that's the weird Mandela effect that I have of this movie.
I mean, I like that one. I support that.
Right?
Let's replace her with Violet Biggerstaff.
Ooh, I like it.
Right?
We
Let's
can
just
like
cut in old Saved by the Bell stuff into the end of. I'm here for it.
We can Rise of Skywalker like some
100%. Here for it.
Just grab some shots of her like talking to Screech.
Yeah.
Oh, her picture that she posted on her Instagram was so sweet.
That was very sweet. Yes.
She told the story of Dustin that just wanted to make sure that she was comfortable.
Yeah.
It was a very like courteous screen partner.
Yes. R.I.P. Dustin Diamond. But yeah, it was just Christy. And it was one shot of her.
And those were reshoots too.
Yeah.
That Andrew was wearing that fucking wig. And yeah, those were all reshoots.
Yeah, not the best wig. He does look thinner. You can tell
because he was doing a
play.
He was doing a play at the time.
Yeah, but this all leads to the fact that the filmmakers were not pleased with the reshoots. Were not pleased with the way the movie ended, and just decided, you know what,
we're just going to make it again.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
We watched a little bit of Some Kind of Wonderful last night with Eric Stoltz, and we just watched Mask with Eric Stoltz.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
It's Eric Stoltz in the 80s. Not a bad.
No,
man.
I'm all about 80s Eric Stoltz. Ooh. Okay, it's fully beat for beat gender swap. Pretty in Pink.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's not a lot changed of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those ones where you look at Eric Stoltz and Leah Thompson, and you're like, you two don't like each other either.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are... Okay, you spent a long time, like, drawing her.
Yeah.
And idealizing her, but, like, okay.
Every scene that she has where he's like, do you want to go out with me? Or can I give you a ride home? Or whatever. She's just kind of like, well, yes. It's so weird.
Right? And essentially, instead of, like... I don't know, she's dating the James Spader character in this one who constantly cheats on her.
Yeah,
but that's kind
in
of
front
just
of
fine.
her face.
The gaslighting in this is horrible. But also, again, like, Eric Stoltz shouldn't have ended up with MarySue and Masterson either.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
This is also not a good couple. You have never indicated that you have feelings for her.
No, not at all.
Mary Stuart Masterson's characterization is very interesting, though. I like it.
Well, what's interesting is that the characters in this movie full on are like, you're a lesbian.
Yeah. Which, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe, like, I don't know. She had that beautiful androgynous look. Like, the whole time I was just watching her.
She did have those beautiful blonde highlights, though.
I mean, and she is kind of, Mary Stuart Masterson is kind of like a lesbian icon for Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, really.
Yep.
Not a great performance from her, I will say. Like, about halfway through the movie, I'm like, you are not... I feel like you and this character never really connected.
Yeah. In Some Kind of Wonderful?
Yeah. It just felt not quite there.
Right, right.
I always get Mary Stuart Masterson, of course, confused with Mary Louise Parker.
Yes.
Also from Fried Green Tomatoes.
And then, for some odd reason, my brain just goes to Maid Marian from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and
Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Multiple names.
That's like the weird, like, connect the dots that I have.
No, I had to really think about the name I was saying. I'm like, okay, get it right, Amber.
Yeah. Yes, Mary Stuart Masterson. So she's like she's the female Duckie in the Duckette. She's
the classic tomboy.
She plays drums.
Yep.
You know, she's got a crazy car.
That car, if that car was painted and running reliably, I would drive that car. It was adorable.
Yeah, it's straight up a vintage Mini with a driver's side on the wrong side of the car.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And like everything about her style, I was just like, oh man, I wish I was that cool.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Was the guy that really wants to date her from Nightbreed?
Yes. No, well, the main bad guy is from Nightbreed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. The guy that really wants to date her, you know who he is. He directed Ellie... Is it Ellie Parker?
Oh, sure. Scott Cuffey.
He's like BFFs with
Naomi Watts.
Yeah.
And he's also in...
That's like her gay best friend.
He's in Mulholland Drive.
Yes.
Okay. I was watching him in the movie, and I was
He's the like punky redhead guy that she's just like, no, make out with me to make, to make him jealous.
And he's also in Tank Girl. Sure.
Yeah. I was reading about him and Naomi Watts, and they met on Tank Girl, and they just became like best Judies and just like worked together on everything moving forward. Isn't that cute? I kind of love that.
When we watched it last night, I remember thinking he was pretty cute.
He is cute and some kind of wonderful, like with his shaved head. He's like a redhead with like shaved head, and like he kind of dresses like a little like kind of punk skinheadish.
And then I went to IMDb and I got confused because I saw the guy from Nightbreed, and I was like, was it him? I don't remember.
He's the main bad guy, and he's awful. I mean, not awful, bad actor, but he's just like a Elias Koteas.
Koteas just looking like he's 35 years old, going to high school.
Fully.
Not
that
Christopher
hair.
Maloney.
Don't make that mistake.
I fully did. I was like, wait, did I not remember? Very similar look,
I think
guys.
it's on the commentary for What Hot American Summer where Janine Garofalo is just introducing all of the cast in just random movies, and that's what she says
about Christopher Maloney.
For
this
Christopher
is
Maloney.
Not Elias Koteas. Don't make that mistake. He looks 50.
Yeah.
Fully. And again, like everyone in this movie looks way too old, and like Eric Stoltz kind of has a little bit of baby face left, but still not enough.
Yeah.
And then there's is that tiny baby Candace Cameron?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That tickled me.
It did. Me too.
She's pretty cute in it.
She's very cute in it. She does play the know-it-all
precocious child,
which I hate that character in other things, but I don't know. I kind of really liked her.
Yeah, I feel like they deployed it just enough.
Yeah.
And she was more antagonizing the middle sister, which felt like a very real dynamic.
Yes. The middle sister who went on to be in The Adventures of Ford Fairlane with Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh.
Yes. That is a terrible movie. It's notoriously bad, but I remember loving it a lot. Okay, so it's interesting that John Hughes was like, okay, I don't really like the way that Pretty in Pink ended. We're going to do it again. We're going to gender swap it so it'll be fun and different. Story goes, offers the Leah Thompson role to Molly Ringwald. She says no.
Of course.
And
good call.
Right.
Good call.
Yeah, good call.
And supposedly this is what started their like rift, because they didn't work together for many, many years.
When did she do She's Having the Baby?
Later on, but is that him?
RDJ.
I think that was like 91, 92.
The pickup artist is RDJ. She's Having a Baby is somebody else. Yeah. But supposedly this is the thing that kind of started off this like, rift between the two of them.
Oh,
I don't know.
She's Having a Baby is Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth McGovern.
Oh, you're thinking of... I know what you're thinking of. But we'll talk about it later.
But, I mean, like, I get that she was basically his muse for those years.
Yeah.
But also, good for her
for
being able to stand up and be like, no,
it would have been weird.
I don't want to make this movie again. I feel like we've made this movie 4 times.
Yeah.
I would like to do something else now, please.
Yes. Leah Thompson is cast in the role. She's great. I love her, Leah Thompson.
She's fine, yeah.
Yeah. She goes on to marry the director, Howard Deutsch.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
She still steadily works in TV. He does a lot of TV work. I'm thinking of For Keeps.
For Keeps. Yeah, that's what it's called. And who's the main guy in For Keeps? It's not Robert Downey Jr.
Randall.
I was also thinking it might be Betsy's Wedding.
Randall.
Yeah.
Batchenkoff. Not super familiar with him.
Oh,
he's in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
sure.
How about that?
He plays Buffy's boyfriend.
Sure.
In that movie.
Oh, in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
And it's interesting when you think of Molly Ringwald's career trajectory that I do think that she was that big in the 80s that she just kind of stepped away. Like she was offered Pretty Woman and she was just like, I don't really want to do it.
Well, and I feel like she was one of the few that didn't have like huge scandals in the 90s
Right,
and kind of just managed to figure out a way to navigate life.
I think that she went to college. She went off to Europe. I think that she made some art house European films.
She got married and lived in Paris for many years.
And just kind of did what you wanted to, which, I mean, my hat goes off to you, Molly.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's the happiest ending for a child star who was that big, that young.
And now she's just on Riverdale collecting those paychecks. Bless her.
Yeah. Play the mom, show up, kick ass, get the money, go.
Didn't she also do another one where she was a mom? Was she in like
the American Teenager?
True Life, something like that.
Oh god, that show was terrible.
I get that one confused with the one that Leah Thompson did, Switched at Birth.
Oh,
all of these ABC Family shows.
We don't even know what's going on there.
Are very similar.
I'm also kind of surprised that the director directed both.
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked that he was like, sure, I'll do it again.
Right? I already have my notes from the last one. Same camera angles, guys. Like, let's just shoot it. I don't care.
So interesting.
I will say, watching it, because I watched it all the way through, I know I'm old, because in watching Some Kind of Wonderful this time, I was like, oh, I am agreeing with the parents in a lot of these scenes. Like when his dad flips out because he uses his entire college fund to buy diamond earrings for a girl he has gone out with 0 times.
That just makes me sick to my stomach.
Yep, you should you're lucky you got to leave the house.
Yeah, because books are expensive.
College is expensive, and they keep saying like he has enough for like the first year of college, and even if he doesn't want to go to college, he does want to go to art school. Yeah, bitch, you still have to pay for that.
Go to an art school, go to an art college. Yeah,
right.
It's like those are just
but
as pricey.
They still require money.
You know why? Because they're private.
Yeah,
art schools. You know,
and also like I feel like I'm just going to skip ahead to the end, but like if you really love that guy, give him back the earrings.
The earrings.
Yeah. And let him go to fucking college.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted these earrings.
Yeah, what an asshole.
Gross.
Yeah. I do love, though, when he first notices that she's wearing the diamond earrings, the friend that's giving them a ride in the Suzuki Samurai. That actress, I kind of love.
Oh, yeah. She was great.
Yeah. But the thing is, she looked like she had like a small role on Friends. She would just do the rounds of like sitcoms. She looks exactly the same.
Oh, fully.
She, like, in 1985 or 86, whenever this movie came out, she looks like how she looks just as like a grown woman.
Oh, yeah. Because when she showed up, I was like, oh, yeah, she's on Friends.
Yeah. she does the cooking class. And she's just like, I'm going to take you to Aspen. What?
Okay. And again, we're very much living in this like extravagant wealth, and
the one kind of hitch is that the Leah Thompson character is not rich. She kind of lives in the same neighborhood as Eric Stoltz, but she just hangs out with they just like her, maybe because she's just really pretty or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like if you have the beauty, you can buy your way into the rich kids, even if you're not rich. It's like, oh, you're pretty enough. We want to be near you.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a little difference in her like Blane analogy character.
Did you read a few years ago, I think it was around 2017, when you just started to see a lot of Me Too articles. Did you read Molly Ringwald's
I did.
Piece in the New Yorker, where she kind of talked about coming to terms with a lot of these 80s movies where shit that's totally acceptable in 1986, when you look back on it, just makes you cringe.
There was one line, and I made a note about it, where Keith is talking to Hardy, so the douchebag Leah Thompson boyfriend's name is Hardy.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like Ed Hardy. Yeah, totally. Get it. And Hardy tells Keith, I'm glad you get her used. And I was like, that is one of the most disgusting lines I've ever seen committed to film in what is ostensibly like a 4 teenagers rom-com.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was just okay.
Yeah.
Like, somebody wrote it, a bunch of other people read it, a director had a teenager say it, and everybody was like, this is fine.
And you could say, like, oh, well, he's the bad guy, and that's for us to know how awful he is or whatever. But there's another scene where she is sitting next to him in the car, and he's like, don't look at my property. And she's just like, just like rolls her eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's not the moment where she gets up and is like, first of all, what girl is not going to just like leave? I mean, maybe in 1986 or whatever, but it's like, that when he says his property and she's just like, oh, him.
Yeah, like I feel like this movie sets up some very dangerous precedents for like what is acceptable behavior from your high school boyfriend. High school.
The article went into the very cringeworthy plot point of 16 Candles with Haviland Morris. Of how it sort of insinuated that she's kind of date raped at the end of the movie.
Oh, it's fully date rape.
Yeah, and she, like, in the interview, or in the article, Molly talks to Haviland, and she was just like, what did you think about this at the time? You were making it. And even Haviland was like, oh, yeah, like, I think we all or at least I knew that this was crossing a line.
Yeah, and it's fully uncomfortable. And again, like, there were a lot of moments in Some Kind of Wonderful where I'm like, oh, my God, this is textbook gaslighting.
Yeah.
This is textbook grooming. Like, this is an abusive relationship, and we are a baby step away from seeing Leah Thompson walk into high school with a black eye, and everybody was just going to be okay with it. Like, this is not cool, guys.
Because the only thing is that, like, when he's talking all that shit at the gas station, she's just like, sorry. But, like, when he fully to her face is just like, oh, what do you think? I'm going to, like, try to make it with a girl right in front of you. And she doesn't. She's just like, yeah, I guess. Like, she doesn't say anything.
Yeah. And he literally is.
Yeah.
Making out with a girl in front of her.
She's so passive in the movie.
Yeah.
And again, that's why, I don't know, and it was the 80s and whatever, but none of these characters seem to elicit the kind of strong emotional response we're seeing from the person who is objectifying them.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, she's pretty. Like, yes, she's beautiful. What else is there? And again, like, they go on a terrible date. Like, the beginning of that date, they seem to hate each other when they're at that restaurant. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And she feels like, it feels like she didn't want to go on that date. She was coerced into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, this is cool. Yay. This is what romance looks like. Pass.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, they all kind of realize that Keith is really meant for...
Is he, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watts,
yeah.
Because there's a scene where they're, like, lying in bed talking to each other, and there's, like, no chemistry.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so fine, you two end up together. I didn't want that either.
Yeah. And, you know, I like Eric Stoltz. Like I said, I think he's really cute in this. But I don't know that he's just that dynamic.
Well, has he ever had chemistry with anybody?
Right, you know?
Like, have you ever seen him in a movie where you're like, the passion?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, he was famously, like, let go midway through Back to the Future because they just really wanted Michael J. Fox, who is a dynamic actor.
Yeah.
Does have chemistry with everybody that he's in a scene with. You know? Can't look away from him. But
and again, Eric Stoltz, like, beautiful, chiseled, like those cheekbones, blessings from above. But it's just, like, I'm never compelled to watch him. And I'm never rooting for him to end up with anyone.
You don't really... Yeah. I think that his career trajectory was very... I think that he was supposed to be a bigger deal than he is now.
Sure.
Yeah. Although I did just rewatch Mad About You, the TV series, and I had forgotten he had, like, a recurring arc.
Did he?
In there. He plays Helen Hunt's ex-boyfriend. So he pops up all the time. But again, it's like, you also have no chemistry with Helen Hunt.
But she's another one.
I see why she dumps you.
Yeah. I did read in the IMDb trivia, which, again, grain of salt, that the director initially was looking at Michael J. Fox.
For Some Kind of Wonderful?
Yeah. But that means that they couldn't have gone with Leah Thompson because she just played his mom in the movie right before this.
Yeah.
That would have been weird.
Yeah, I just feel like there had to have been somebody else.
Yeah.
I just... Again, it was at the end of the movie, I'm like, I don't want any of them to end up together.
Yeah. The three of them just aren't really strong enough. I don't know. Just something about all three of them, their chemistry is just not right. It's just not there on the screen.
And again, like, every time Leah Thompson goes out with him, it feels like something she does not want to do. She's just doing it out of the goodness of her heart.
Yeah.
She already said yes. She got backed into it. Like, it never feels exciting for her.
Yeah. Her character is interesting. She has a similar scene to Andy where Leah Thompson is talking a teacher out of detention.
Yeah.
And it's so different.
Oh, it's so gross. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's full on flirting.
She's fully flirting with him.
With
That's
this
right.
like, middle-aged bald.
I like your hair.
I like your
your
hair.
This bald man.
Gross.
Yeah.
And again, like my brain is like, this character is 16. 16.
And this teacher's just like, no detention for you.
Gross.
What the hell?
It was so gross.
Yeah. So.
And she full on is like touching him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, thank
She
you, please.
does put her hand on him.
Needless to say, we have very complicated relationships with John Hughes movies that came out of the 80s.
Yeah.
For good and for bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For every Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there's some kind of wonderful, I guess. Well, I guess for every Pretty in Pink, there's some kind of wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like we kind of brushed up on it, but like I love 16 Candles.
Yeah,
it is
same.
the most problematic movie.
It's very problematic.
Yeah.
There's like different layers of what's problematic about it too.
I know it's bad because as I was watching it, I was like, okay, so if you take out the horrible Asian racism,
Yeah.
you're still left with the horrible date rape plot line.
Yes.
See, as a kid, I just always thought, because she doesn't remember anything, and I think like she asks him like, did we do anything or whatever?
Yeah, he asks her like,
He asks her. He was sober.
Yeah.
And so he asks her. So to me, I thought that like they really didn't.
But she thinks they did, and
Yeah.
that's bad enough.
No, yeah, that's, yeah.
And again, just like the fact that her boyfriend traded her in
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
handed her off and was like,
Yeah.
well, you can do whatever she wants to her 'cause
Yeah.
she's passed
She's
out.
passed out.
You just
Get
have
her
to
outta
give me
here.
Sam's
Underwear
and tell me where she is. Gross.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny because randomly I'll say to Pete, question, and he'll, without a beat,
Yes, you're a
say to
total
me,
fag.
yes, you're a total fag.
Yeah. Yes, I started timing. I was like, let's see how far we can get into this movie before something problematic happens.
Yeah.
7 minutes and 16 seconds. That is how far we get before the first racially inappropriate line is uttered.
And your protagonist, too.
Yeah, because it's the Trans Am conversation. It's 7 minutes where she's like,
a black guy.
A black guy?
No.
A black Trans Am and a pink guy. And I was just like, no, thank you. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, yeah. It's the one thing that the friend is like, a black guy, and then she's like, no.
And also, like, okay, kind of like I get that there are literally no black people within a 30-mile radius of this high school, apparently, but also, ew.
Yeah.
Ew. And it just gets worse from there. But still, like, I know I quote that movie
Oh, yeah.
so often. And I feel bad about it because one of the lines I quote the most is one of Long's lines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I shouldn't be saying this.
Yeah. I feel like the actor, Getty Watanabe, I think that he's just kind of, at this point, he's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, he's just very much like...
He's always happy to quote it.
What are we going to do? Like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm Long Duck Dong. Come on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not an excuse or anything. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to.
Yeah,
What is he
yeah.
going to do? Go on an angry rampage
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the movie?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like, I would never, like, if I saw him on the street, I wouldn't be like, automobile. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, don't
Yeah.
go there.
Well, and the funny thing is, I used to see him all the time when I worked at the Borders in Glendale.
Okay.
Because I guess he lived near there.
Sure.
So he was in there all the time. And, you know, never once did I feel compelled to go up and, like, no more yanking my winky.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's funny. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like he's funny in it. And
yeah.
you know, it's like you love him and you just want to be like, I love Long Dick Dong, but it's like
He gets to be the cool guy, though.
he gets the like weightlifting girlfriend.
Sexy American girlfriend.
Yeah. She's another one who looks 38.
Oh, easily.
Who is this woman?
Yeah. And again, like 16 Candles was the one where it's like, okay, all the freshmen are played by actual
Children.
12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then the seniors are played by men in their 40s.
Yeah.
And it is gross that they are existing in the same space.
I asked my sister about that when we were kids. I was like, why do the freshmen look so little? And she's like, they're like 13. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't.
I mean, like, unless you have a mega growth spurt,
Yeah.
you're not turning into Jake Ryan in the next 3 years.
No. But yeah, I mean, it's the Jon Hughes universe.
Yeah, we kind of covered it all.
We covered a lot.
We covered
I feel
a lot.
like we covered all the romantic ones.
Yes,
Like those are the ones that
All
are
the big-
specifically
all the
billed
big
as
80s
like
movies.
romances.
Yeah. Because there's Ferris Bueller and there's Weird Science.
And there's Uncle Buck.
And Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Breakfast Club, I feel like, is a lot of people's favorites. I think that's kind of like the cool choice to be like, oh, my favorite's the Breakfast Club.
I mean, it's totally my favorite. I have owned like 6 different iterations of
Yeah,
that
the new
DVD.
Criterion.
I finally stopped with the Criterion. I'm like, I feel like I'm done buying the Breakfast Club on DVD now.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like Pretty in Pink just it just feels like it's a better, like when you're watching it, like you were saying about I don't know if you said it on as we were recording, but we were talking about Some Kind of Wonderful, and it's just not as good. It doesn't look as good. It doesn't, like, I don't know, there's just something about it.
And like I said, you could remake Pretty in Pink tomorrow without having to do a lot of restructuring or rewriting or just gutting it.
Yeah.
You could really take a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the scenes, and just redo it.
Yeah.
And it would be fine. I mean, hopefully with some people where you build a little bit more chemistry or tension or conflict. But still, like, the bones are good.
It's a good reminder for me that stuff that's very conventional, and there's a lot of cliches in that movie, but it's okay when it's done well. Yeah. When you sort of trust actors like Molly Ringwald, Jon Cryer, and Annie Potts. Like, they really elevate how by the numbers this story is. And I was looking up the reviews of how was this movie received when it came out, and it was surprisingly pretty mixed. Like, Pauline Carroll's review for The New Yorker wrote that Ringwald carries the movie, though she has nothing particularly arresting to do or say, and called the movie slight and vapid and the consistency of watery jello. Ouch.
Fair, but also, like, can you find me a romantic comedy that has, like, depth?
Right.
Especially at this time, too.
Yeah, I mean, like, what else
like,
are we up against?
This would have been pre When Harry Met Sally, Nora Ephron, too.
Yeah.
Right. And even in those movies, like, I think When Harry Met Sally 100% is my favorite romantic comedy because I feel like there's character development and growth and conflict.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not Schindler's List. Like,
Right, yeah.
And you don't go into the movie expecting it to be.
Yes.
I don't know. Like, I feel like you have to walk into the movie knowing, like, if I'm walking into a rom-com, I'm not getting Oscar-worthy monologues and cinematography that should be framed. It's, you know.
Although this movie was shot by the guy that photographed Silence of the Lambs, too.
Interesting.
They got a really good DP for this movie.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it probably ages the best, and you could probably still cast Annie Potts in it tomorrow.
Yeah,
be
true.
Totally fine.
Agreed. It's got great music.
Yeah, great soundtrack to this movie.
Psychedelic Furs. Get out of here. I mean, Jon Hughes, I just don't know enough about him as a person, but to kind of wrap my head around what's going on with this guy that just, like, had his finger on the button of, like, youth.
His fixation with young people.
Yeah, but, like, he had, like, the music was right. Like, he got a lot of things right.
Yeah.
You know, but then when you look at him, he just seemed like I don't know, kind of like the squirrely little, like, nerdy guy, which is so, like, I don't know, is that
the
telling?
squirrely nerdy guy that dressed like he was cool, though.
True.
Yeah. I don't know. And again, like, a lot of it is smart, and a lot of it is, again, he's paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah.
And he's not treating it condescendingly.
Yeah.
Which I think really sets him apart from a lot of people making teen movies, is it's very, like, oh, stupid teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, especially teen movies up until, like, what was his first of all of these? Was it 16 Candles?
Probably 16 Candles.
I mean, up until then, it would have been stuff like Porky's.
Yeah.
If you really, like, dissect where movies for young people were at that time.
And I think a lot of of the reviews from the time refer to these as like sex comedies.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, they're
16 Candles is kind of a is kind of a sex comedy.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's true. But I mean, again, Breakfast Club doesn't really fall into the romantic comedy category, but it is a teen movie. So it's like when you put it up against, like a She's All That, or like 10 Things I Hate About You, maybe Breakfast Club is elevated.
It definitely is, and I feel like it's honest, and there are a lot of moments in the Breakfast Club that ring really true, and they are not happy.
Yeah.
Like, none of those kids are happy.
Yeah.
And that feels very real to the high school experience.
Yeah.
Like, if you are truly happy in high school, I have some bad news about the rest of your life.
100%. Would the gay character in Breakfast Club be...
Anthony Michael Hall?
Would it be Ali Sheedy? Would it be Ali Sheedy?
The whole thing with
Ali... would it be Emilio Estevez?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely see Emilio Estevez, but I can also see Ali Sheedy just being fully pansexual.
Yeah.
Going all the way to
how
the
that
end
movie
of the
leaves
rainbow.
that character always bothers me.
That's the one
I think
thing.
that's like it's a pretty perfect movie, but that's the one like thing that I don't like
At
about
least let her have that black shit in her eyes.
Yeah.
I like that black shit in my eyes.
We went to a live recording of the Breakfast Club that was done by Jason Reitman at LACMA. It was Aaron Paul as Bender, Jennifer Gardner as Claire, James Vanderbeek as Emilio, Mindy Kaling as Ali Sheedy. Interesting. And
I don't remember.
What's his name from Young Adult?
From Young Adult. Patton Oswalt. As Anthony
Michael Hall. And J.K. Simmons just did the teacher. He read stage direction.
Yeah.
And the janitor.
That makes sense to me. So I did, in college, get to see Ali Sheedy perform as Hedwig.
That's right.
Hedwig and the Grinch.
Oh,
at
lucky.
the Jane Street Theater.
Oh,
for $17.50.
My goodness gracious!
So
that's legendary.
Yeah, and so I feel like Ali Sheedy aged as that character a little bit.
Yes, I think so.
And
then
feel
she
like
later
that's
did
where she would have ended up.
Yeah,
and then she later did high art. Yep.
Loved
so I
it.
feel like she definitely would have been like this very queer, androgynous.
Love it. Yeah,
that's where that character would have ended up
as
well.
Yeah, I like that. Oh man, wow, that's legendary.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I got to hug Ali Sheedy, and she is like the tiniest little. It's like a little bird.
You could break her if you hugged her too close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the John Hughes movies kind of run the gamut. I mean, in this era, because like we said, rom-com. Breakfast Club is a little bit more of a.
They're always worth revisiting, too.
Oh my
you always
God,
enjoy yourself whenever you watch them.
Yeah.
You might have different things that you'll be thinking about when you revisit them in 2021, but they're definitely worth a revisit, though.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And any movie from that era.
Yes,
there's gonna
exactly.
be stuff in it that
and I feel like it holds up a lot better than a lot of other stuff in the 80s, because I feel like they were at least trying to acknowledge that everything wasn't great.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, we definitely didn't get to every single, beat of all these movies, but I think we got through a lot, especially for Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
So, good job, you guys.
This is kind of a joint episode of Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful.
Yeah.
We could almost like...
I mean, you can't not
I know
talk
exactly.
about Some
You
Kind
need
of
to talk
Wonderful.
about both.
Yeah. It's the weird, is it necessary?
Well, and watching them back to back, it was just like, I just watched this movie.
It's jarring because I feel like, John Hughes, why did you write this movie?
Yeah, like
you
let it go,
just
man.
made this.
I'm sorry you didn't get the ending you wanted, but...
Yeah. And was that even, acknowledged at the time? Were the reviews just why? Were just some of the reviews already saw it, why did we need this? I don't know if it was even... brought up or acknowledged. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like a weird genre thing. Didn't Stephanie Myers do a gender swap Twilight book that was nonsense?
Yeah.
But they didn't do a whole movie.
Oh my God. Thankfully, everyone in that movie has aged out of playing the same character.
Yes, it's true.
that is, I feel like they're all relieved. They're like, vampires can't age, and I look older, so oh darn, can't make that movie.
Yeah, but
I still think that Stephenie Meyer will come crawling back to those books and write a new trilogy.
She's gonna, absolutely.
Well, Midnight Sun sold a bajillion copies 6 months ago, so yeah, of course she's going to do all three.
Now, is that the one that's from Edward's point of view?
Well, that was the one that she wrote,
She wrote it at the same time.
She wrote like 10 years ago.
And then it got leaked. Part of it got leaked, so she stopped.
Right.
And then she released it in August of last year.
Wow.
But, I mean, E.L. James did the same thing with 50 Shades, and she wrote all 3 books from Christian's point of view.
Wow. Redundant.
I could do a whole 3-hour set on, like, why those books are garbage.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Right? That's books that made us.
We've been thinking about
angry.
We've been thinking about
that made us
doing.
sad.
We've been thinking about doing a commentary. Watch with us for our Patreon just for the first Twilight.
Of Twilight, yeah, just a commentary track.
I highly recommend doing a shot every time you see jorts. So by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're drunk enough to think it's good.
The werewolves.
Yes,
they do wear a lot of jorts. Cutoffs.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get around to that pretty soon. But this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming
for coming on for our Valentine's Day episode.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I'm feeling the apathetic teenage love.
Oh boy. Well, we'll be sure to go out and get some chocolates from our local drugstore in honor of this Valentine's Day.
I'll bring you something nice from TJ's.
Ooh,
yeah, much better.
I'll still take a tiny little white teddy bear with a satin heart in between its arms. Oh my goodness! Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming to this episode of Movies That Made Us Gay. Amber, this was so much fun.
It was. I'll come back anytime, guys.
We'll have you back for a Hedwig episode.
100%.
I want to talk about Hedwig on the show.
Yeah, we need somebody who's seen it live. Well, we've seen it live, but not like the OG cast. Although Stephen Trask was there, but that's another story. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. You can follow us on Patreon.
Yeah.
Head on over to Patreon and check out our tiers. There's some fun Watch With Us commentary tracks.
We have our fun newsletter that we're working on right now for the month of February. It's probably going to be out by the time this episode comes out.
Yes. It is. It's a new year. The weather's cooling down. It's our favorite season. Award season.
I know. Oh, I was going to say, I was just working on doing little Oscar write-ups.
All right, Moira.
Awards. Yeah, so the new newsletter's coming out very, very soon. So head on over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at... Oh, wait. No. I'm getting this wrong. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay.
And Twitter at MTMUGpod.
Yes, indeed. You can follow me, Pete, on Twitter and Instagram at Peter Lasagna.
And I'm Scott Youngballer on Twitter. Oh, no. On Instagram. See, now my handles are different, so I always confuse them. I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram and Oscar Scott on Twitter and just Scott Youngbauer on Letterboxd.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and listening with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.